Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. I mean, technically, we should say welcome back to $70,000 on a Bitcoin, which is pretty interesting. But welcome to Friday. TGFR, you made it here. Good news. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you had a good day out there in Normie land. Quite a bit to get through in tonight's show. We want to talk about what's happened. Can you really trust this relief rally? I mean, think about it. We went down and wicked all the way to $60,000, bouncing back. Now pumping over 11.5% on the day is pretty wild. I mean, even by Bitcoin and the crypto market standard, it is pretty wild to move over nearly 12% in a day. Where you've got coins like XRP back up 18.5%. At one point, by the way, that was 25%. So a pretty wild ride, I think is fair to say. So we'll talk about why, who's buying it, what should we be doing in this instance, in my view, by the way. And yeah, all the rest of it. All right. So quite a lot to get into tonight, as you would expect. A wild day yesterday. I've deleted everything off my charts, by the way, because I thought, hey, let's just do it together. Let's see what's on our mind. What are the key areas we're looking at? What's the sort of noise coming out of the charts that might tell us what's coming next, as well as all of the macro. And like I said in the title, let's try to understand exactly what is going on right now, because these, in my opinion, are the most dangerous times in this market, because people get complacent. People are like, oh, everything's totally fine. Like, boom, you're in. Might be too early. You might miss the boat. We'll talk about all of that. As always, hit the like button as you come in, hit the subscribe button if you're just brand new to this channel. Bear in mind, my name's 2bit, aka Mike. We talk about the crypto market every single day here on the live stream, as well as I put out daily content, keeping you up to date with Bitcoin, XRP, all your favorite altcoins, you name it, we got you covered. And likewise, TikTok, appreciate you guys jumping in as well. So let's do it. Let's get into it. A pretty wild day here on the markets. Like I said, the chart itself is pretty boring, actually. We haven't really done much. It is just what it is. And TikTok, I'll bring you guys over here, look, so you can see as well. So yeah, oh, thank you for the heart me's. Shout out to Gino. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. So, yeah, there you go. Look, that just brings up the Bitcoin chart so you guys can see exactly what is going on. And then we're going to sort of dive into it a little bit more detail. 2bit, what team do you support? I don't really support any football team. My friends ruined it for me when we were younger. So I don't particularly follow any particular team. Can't be bothered. I ain't got time for it. Just my view, by the way. All right, so here we go. Bitcoin bouncing off that level. Now, obviously, I left the orange box on. We did actually move the orange box just marginally, by the way. And you might say, well, hold on a minute, Tim. It's $4,000 is your potential buy zone. But take it onto the 30-minute, which is where you kind of know. Look how crazy this is. So we came in, we held off the resistance, dipped in. By the way, I had a short trade. I managed to grab a little short. I posted it in the Discord, by the way, a link in the description and the bio. It's totally free to get involved in that. But yeah, I posted my short trade, took a short trade on this, literally hit my stop loss and TP. It actually wicked down to 59,950, which is where my take profit was. So pretty pleased about that. I've got to be honest, I did not see this bounce coming back as aggressively as we've done. I'll just be dead honest, right? I was always in this world where I was like, okay, this is where I think is going to be a really strong bit of move. This is kind of where I want to put that six-figure trade that we've been talking about. And I see loads of people have gone in, loads of people have, you know, taken these trades on. I personally think it's a little bit too soon, and I'll talk about why I think that is. And I could see us pulling back down again. It doesn't make sense that we had the biggest, craziest day ever in the history of cryptocurrency yesterday. Within 24 hours, you're like, it kind of didn't happen. The only way that happens is sheer, unadulterated, convictable manipulation within the market, which I'd like to think that that isn't the case. But hey, we've seen pretty crazy stuff happen in this market. So that kind of pushes it down. When you look at the 12-hour here, it's a pretty obvious picture. So this V-shaped recovery, and this is, again, something else that's worth noting here. The V-shaped recovery is always a bit of a thing. But for many of you that are in the Discord, here for me is what we're looking at. The 20-day EMA. We already got rejected at this higher range around 71,500, which probably is about right. But in my opinion, it's definitely in a descending triangle pattern. Now, the best thing to think about here, by the way, people, on TikTok, you guys can see it. I'm going to share it on the screen, is if you are a premium channel member, you can go into the Learn to Trade section of our Discord. And essentially, you can then bring up the full how-to guide that we've got. These are chart patterns that I've been using. These are things that I've been looking at where you can kind of walk through. And we're building this out, by the way, giving you any pros and cons and ideas as to where it kind of comes in. And you can kind of then look in terms of, okay, well, what does this chart look like? What's this chart telling me? Does this line up to some of the key things I'm seeing here? So if you go through this and say, well, do any of these support where we kind of look into, and you're kind of like, oh, well, okay, maybe. Is it a continuation? No. Is it a bearish continuation? Well, you could argue and say, actually, we did get that uptrend here, this kind of move to the upside, and then we come back down, retesting this line. Okay, well, let's say it is that. What does it tell us? High probability short setup, clear breakdown points often leads to sharp declines. Okay, well, that kind of aligns to exactly what we're looking for. So what do I need to look? It may experience fake breakouts, and it requires volume confirmation. All right, cool. Well, let's tell us what that is. So we've got a little bit of a move here on the daily candles, but look at this in comparison to the volumes here, and actually this volume back here. So in my view, taking a look at those guides that we've bought in our Discord, I personally think that this is a fake out. I know people might be like, oh my God, here he is, 2-bit, Mr. Bear. He was only bullish about 3 days ago, and now he's coming back and he's telling us the world's going to zero. But like I said, these are the moments. And if you understand this, why this happened, then you kind of have to be mindful of this. And I think so many people potentially going to get trapped. And I'll show you exactly what I mean, by the way. And this is why I'm like, okay, I'm not like other people where, some people are like, look, I don't care if I miss the bottom. It's fine. If I get liquidated, it's fine. I'll go back into the markets. No. Because that's just hope, all right? And I can't afford to live in a world where I just hope that I've timed the bottom. I need a little bit more of an important and a more strategic way to trade these particular markets, whether that's buying on spot, by the way, or whether that is just buying back in. And I believe right now this is a fake out. Still mean this is my price target, and this is when I still want to open up this trade. But given the aggressiveness that we came down and then the move back to the upside, I think this is going to trap some late long traders. And we'll take a look just at what that looks like. We've got a load of tools to our dispensable here, which again, why I think it's important to try and understand what and how we make our next move, and more importantly then what this could happen. So this is kind of where I sit on Bitcoin. The other reason that's driving my sentiment to believe that this is a fake out is some of the moves. You can't tell me that dump down on XRP, perfectly hitting that resistance line at 111 that we took yesterday, if you remember, we did it live, and then bouncing back up, and then already being rejected here at this upper range of 153 is normal, right? That's not normal. And it's not normal, by the way, at all. So I think it's kind of worth thinking about. And what you're now seeing is leverage start to pile back in on the longs. Well, we all know how that ends up. I'm going to jump ahead real quick here. We all know how leverage ends up. So yesterday you had no leverage longs whatsoever. People were freaking out. They were like, oh my God, everything's going to zero. Like we're going to lose everything, blah, 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 blah. And like now we've got longs piling back in. So think about it. If they dump this market back down, even just, down to 60K, for example, where does that get us to? Liquidate over $1 billion in longs. So again, I'm not saying that V-shaped recovery, but I think it's a fake out. That's just my opinion. I'll take your votes at the end. So I think it would just be really mindful. And you can see there just how this is spread, by the way. Oh, and in terms of the actual numbers. So the lighter the color here, the less leverage you've got. So if you look here at potential short leverage, you've got a little bit that's leveraging 5x, 10x. Look at the aggressiveness here on some of these short longs, i.e. people that believe the market's going long. So much leverage already piled back in on the longs. It's bad news, right? And again, my view here is that I'd rather just sit tight. I'd rather wait and see what happens and then make a strategic move based on that. Remember, never buy a green candle. Oh, technically, they're sort of blue on my screen. But again, important to think about it. By the way, if you want to get access to this, get into the premium Discord, become a channel member here on YouTube. It's going to cost you about $6.50 a month. Super good. We've got loads of chart patterns. We're adding more and more to this as we sort of, see them in effect and work it through, as well as all sorts of other stuff, learn to trade, everything else. Definitely worth your time getting involved in that. All right. So let's talk about this. And I think it's important when you're starting to just think about where does this structure go? What's the market going to do? How do we kind of, really position ourselves that we don't miss out? And that's important, by the way. We don't want to miss out. If you're going to sit through the bear market, or you're certainly going to sit through a capitulation that we saw yesterday, you don't want to then mess out the other side and then, kind of be in a world where it's disappointing. So let's walk through some of these timescales and then let's get to a world. So critical here on the 4-hour chart, look, we're rejecting off the 20-day EMA. Now, remember, we have a full guide on how to trade this 20-day EMA, but I was looking at going short on this market from that peak of 71,265, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was like, God, I've been short in the market forever. Just chill out, like, it's fine, don't worry about it. So, again, you can see here, look, the 20-day EMA is coming to play. We've rejected it on the 4-hour. So now we can say at the higher time frame, we're still bearish. I arguably believe you can still say that on the daily candles, by the way. This is very much still bearish. Look at the EMAs. So you got massive push downs on the EMAs, but somebody is buying, and we'll touch on that in a minute. You know, at the end of the day, someone is definitely buying this market, all right? But you could argue this is still bearish, okay? And then you work your way down. So we're looking for anything that is, you know, in the short term. Well, what's my narrative? If I want this to be bullish, I want there to be a reversal. I'm looking for that opportunity. Well, I'm going to work my way through some of these time frames to find out where it is. So here on the 1 hour chart, are we bullish on the 1 hour chart? Well, look, we're getting close to it. You know, if the market was to push up for, say, another 2 or 3 hours, then you probably are going to get the 20-day EMA is going to continue to the upside. And actually, then you see a bullish divergence coming in at this point. Now, what's my opinion is, well, let's go down to a 30-minute time frame and say, well, what's going to happen? Historically, if you go on that, you could argue, okay, we got a double top here on the 30-minute. Well, what's a double top on the 30-minute? Generally then goes to the downside. So on the 30-minute chart look like, you'd say, well, 2-bit. This is a bullish divergence here on the 100-day EMA. This is a bullish divergence here. And you are absolutely right. This candle then becomes the important bit. If this candle prints high, which we're looking for something like a 71,600, then yeah, okay, then I'll accept that in 30 minutes. Do we think Bitcoin's going to pump $700? I don't think so. I actually think the continuation now, as the last hour and a half's been, is to the downside. If we go to the 15-minute, it's starting to give us a bit more of a really solid indication. You say, well, okay, right now we're holding the 20-day EMA. We held it here on the 15-minute. Which then tells us if we get a bounce here on the 15-minute, that's starting to play out more favorably to a slightly more bullish, optimistic short-term move. Although we break the 20-day EMA, then I think we come down. And this is kind of where, if you were looking at trading some of this, you would argue and say, well, I'm probably in a world where naturally my decision-making would potentially be to short this market. Now, I'm not saying you should go and do it, but that is kind of where I would be looking at. And then the 5-minute, in my opinion, and remember, it's important just to work through these. You can see there, you don't need me to tell you what you can see on that screen. That's dead obvious. So the 5-minute has broken the 20-day EMA on the 5-minute, and we are absolutely going down. So you could say short term right now, market is bearish, or that there is sell pressure coming into the market, which is obvious. You know, we rallied back up to 71,500. You know, then we take profits, hit the 50-day EMA, come back up to the upside. Again, if you get the continuation, then fine. You're probably going to go on to 72, 73K. We didn't. We hit the top. Again, you can see the top coming across here, look. So you can see that. And then we continue to the downside. So the question then would be, where does the key support level come at this range? Well, right now on the 5-minute, that's what you're looking at. Because actually then, for me, plays out on this. So you can see that we broke through, we come to the upper test, we come back down. That becomes the retest, the point of support. We go back up and retest this range. And right now we're here. So we could bounce off the 50, come back up, retest this upper range, 70,900. If we continue to the downside, that's the key support level there. So 69,296, lose that. Then you're probably back down here, 67.8. And then we start to see a little bit more of a capitulation. Everyone starts to freak out and shit themselves. All right. So that's where we are, just really quickly running through Bitcoin there on the short term. I think what's worth noting, though, is why don't we just work through a little bit? I probably should have not done that, actually, because I want to share something else with you that I came across last night that, well, I've added another indicator onto my chart, which is bullish and just allows us to just check loads of stuff really, really quickly, which is great news. But let's go back out here on the daily candle. So if you remember that, you know, for those of you that have been around for a while, by the way, if you haven't, then I highly recommend hit the like and subscribe button because we talk about cryptocurrency every single day. Also, 28 of you have only liked the stream. Let's get that number up. It would be really appreciative. Likewise, TikTok, share this out. Let people know, by the way. It's coming down, Ma. I think I'm agreeing with you. I'm sorry, I've got my TikTok camera looking the other way, so I'm trying to see on my other phone. So bear with me. But the thing to note here is, if you remember, we've been talking about what is driving the market, and everyone tells you it's sentiment, it's Iran, it's treasury markets. There's one thing I've stayed consistent with over the last 3 or 4 months, and probably arguably been consistent now over the last probably 12 months, and that is liquidity. Okay. That's liquidity. Where does the liquidity sit in the market? Not the ISM, not the PMI, but liquidity. So what you've got here, by the way, this is a new jazzy little chart, is we now have the inputs for the GLI, which is the visibility. So right now we've got the Federal Reserve and the TGA. We can go all through, by the way, Bank of Japan, smaller central banks. We've got it all, baby, on this chart and this indicator. Bullish, okay? One indicator telling us everything we need to know. What's interesting here on the daily candles, right? You have to kind of expedite this out. It's a little bit clunky to do it. We have to kind of expedite this out. And if you were looking for a narrative of saying, well, okay, 2-bit, is there a correlation between liquidity and the price of BTC? And the answer, simply put, is yes, 100%, with the exception of where you have big geopolitical events. So, for example, look at this. Back here on the 17th of April, 2025, we saw a big push down, but then we saw a continuation as this liquidity was being drained from the market. We then come back up, and this is where it correlates back again. So again, you can see here, look, so liquidity comes up here. You see the price of Bitcoin doing the same thing. So liquidity can be treasury bonds, gold, whatever it is, right? But money being injected into the system. We then see this little step up, and then we see the peak and the absolute drop off. So as liquidity exits the market, now this is running from July all the way into that kind of November time, really, which was, kind of peak going up to the bull market. Lots of nervousness around that. Tariffs were all over the place, I think it's fair to say. But what are we looking at now? Well, you can see here. So we bottomed out on liquidity at around $5.62 billion of, I think, the measure based on where that is. And then we got this kind of relief rally, which we get again here. So then you see the same. Look, liquidity's dipping, as is the price of BTC. So we can say with a relative amount of confidence that once liquidity ticks back to the upside, then we might get a little bit more bullishness in the price of BTC. And that is, again, an indicator that I'm looking for. So as you can see here right now, this is why I don't trust this move, by the way, is that on the short term, by the way, yes, loads of people have bought the dip. And I think that's exactly what it is. Big money, institutions, whales, whatever you want to call it, bought the dip. Even sensible people like you guys, because if you bought the dip yesterday, you're already significantly up. For example, I told you guys yesterday that I did sell some XRP. I sold at 149. It dipped all the way down to like 116. And I was like, don't press the buy button, 2-bit. You need the money. And I was like, don't press the buy button. And I was like, sod it, I'll just buy it back. So pretty nice trade. Again, we're just holding that on the spot. I do think we get some further opportunities, but this is the indicator I'm looking for. Now, and it isn't, by the way, if we take the Fed and the TGA off, remember the TGA basically where all the money from people go into, and you start to look in terms of some of the others, for example, US money supply. Well, we know that this has a delay on it. And as you can see here that we got this uptick, and now we're sitting pretty going sideways. So this is another reason why I believe that actually BTC price will probably come sideways, negative 0.3 there on the bull scale. Well, let's look at the European money supply. What's happening with this one? Exactly the same thing. But we got this now dumperino and a consolidation phase. So what is it telling us? As much as everyone is saying, oh, global M2 is going to the moon. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, it's insane. You're missing it. I simply don't believe that we are. And I think it's going to be driven, and I'll show you in a minute, by two particular other charts. So again, you can see here, look, this is when we look at the general M2, so the lower end M2 supply. You can see that this is kind of just holding up. It's holding up pretty. So again, if you drive the liquidity narrative, you're like, right, okay, well, I think that's probably going to be a big thing. The one thing that's driving global M2 is this. All right, so you guys can see that. Global M2, this is the Bank of China, or the People's Republic of China, their liquidity. They are driving liquidity into their markets like you wouldn't effing believe, all right? Is this healthy? No. Is their economy enormous? Yes, it's the second biggest economy in the world. So look, this is driving global M2. So you can't use this M2 narrative that so many people are spinning right now. It doesn't make any sense because you have such a big number of that. Likewise, we know that the Bank of Japan is completely the other way as well. The reverse carry trade, you're looking at this. So you want to see, for me, I want to see an increase in US liquidity. I want to see a decrease in the Bank of Japan's liquidity and an increase in the Bank of Japan's liquidity and decrease in the People's Republic of China. I think China's driving loads of M2. So again, this is definitely worthwhile. When you start to just for the, shits and giggles on it, it took everything on there to give you, I guess, the picture of global M2. You can see how much that China move affects it. And you'd have a deep different correlation between where BTC is, which makes no sense, all right? This is why I think the US market is worth keeping our eyes out for. So we'll keep close to that, by the way. But yeah, we now have that chart on there, which I thought was bullish. And I guess where do we then look at here on the price of BTC? So you guys know this is kind of where we want to be actively looking to grab hold of some of those trades. This is where I want to set my trade for the bull market. 8x leverage. It's 6 figures, margined up, by the way. I'm not putting like $100,000 of my own money into it because I don't have $100,000, but it will break 6 figures. I want to try and get it to about 2 Bitcoin, which would be about $130,000, and we'll ride this all the way up the bull market. This is why, though, I think we have to wait and see. And loads of people have gone in. All right, that's fine. If you've got margin that your liquidation point's 59,000, then cool. I just think I want to make sure that this is a confirmational move and that we don't have any more downside to come. So where does that put us then as a potential, what could we look at? Where are some of these key levels? And really, what are some of the fundamentals that we're looking at? Well, like we said, if we're looking for structure right now, we really don't have a lot. So you can see there, these are some of the key touch points. As we come down, you'd argue here, this kind of doesn't make any sense. And again, down to the bottom, which is pretty much exactly where we got to before being rejected off that line. So again, what you're looking for is probably a 45-degree angle, specifically on some of these. So you'd argue this trend right now probably isn't our friend. Well, if the trend's not our friend, then the fib might come into our rescue. And the fib might just give us some little bit more interesting views as to where we could set. So for example here, the 618 Fibonacci at 74,737 may then give us a little bit more optimism within the market. And actually, if we can sort of see that push, let me just move these values a little bit nearer there so you can see it a bit better. Then you could sort of argue and say, okay, then fine. Which if we take that Fibonacci from the bottom and then trade the local top, that's the number we're looking for. 75,737 probably tells us, look, we've broke back up. The trend is now potentially in a world of reversal. Again, you can see how important this was. It was, we came down, we held it for 3 days at the 618 Fibonacci before going absolutely to Goblin Town. So, that's kind of where I sit. And you can see there just how some of those levels do sit. You want to see the 20-day EMA start to flatten out. That's when you can kind of go, right. And if people think we're going to see this bit, just FYI, then we'll talk about some of the things. If people think this V-shaped recovery and we're going to come down and capitulate, $2.3 billion and lose $1 trillion in market cap, and then it hits the bottom here at 60,000, perfectly aligned to where we predicted it's going to go, and then all of a sudden Bitcoin goes and goes back up to 125K, you have not been in the crypto market long enough, in my opinion, by the way. And I think that's definitely slightly disingenuous, and I don't believe that's going to happen for a second. But who knows? Who knows, eh? It might all do that. Right, knew that Tim shares a good curve. What? All right. Man, that was really close, TikTok, so I apologize. All right, anyway, what's going on, bro? I need a big dip. I mean, what is not big enough for you? We lost $10,000 in 1 day. You didn't buy the bottom. That's the problem. And I'm not saying, by the way, I think you'll get another chance. Don't hold me to it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a blog that talks about crypto on the internet. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of where you get to it. What's interesting, just dead FYI, is that everyone's like, I don't mean to be facetious when I say this, but everyone's like, bro, like, look at the structure on Ethereum. It's totally broken right now. There is no structure on these. We need probably 2 weeks of consolidation before anything happens. Even with the pump we got, Sol's probably as near to getting back above 94, maybe. XRP, yeah, okay, we came off the lower range at 113, which we talked about yesterday. If you remember, someone was asking about it. I can't remember. We stuck those on there, which is kind of interesting. Cardano, struggling. Even memes are starting to come back a little bit, but not a lot. Pepe at 13%. You go, oh my God, Pepe's done 13%. Probably slightly better. Still terrible, all right? $390 million market cap. So you just got to be mindful of it. SNEC being the performer of the day at nearly 40% up, which is wild. But in other news, just to keep you guys dialed in, look at this. You got MicroStrategy now up 26%, Coinbase up 13%. While at the same time, we're still seeing a little bit of a pain in the Meta platform, particularly with that AI over CapEx leverage, the Japanese yen coming down. And Craig, Sands up 9%. So good news. What's below Goblin Town? You don't want to know. You just don't want to know. All right. So that's where we get to with Bitcoin. I think, from a TA perspective, as much as people are going to tell you there's loads there, I don't believe there's a lot at the minute because this doesn't make any sense. So again, all open for debate. Right, 2-bit. The bottom is in 100% V-shape on the 1 hour. Has not happened since April 2025. From there, 75K. Well, Miles, let's see. Let's see. I mean, let's hope it is. Let's hope it is. Why would the bottom specifically be 60,000 though? That would be my question. 60,684 on the back of that. I mean, maybe that's the bottom. We'll see. We'll see. That Muppet from Coinbase. Stu, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. A bear market lasts a year. Would we need to wait until October? No, I think the bear market, you could argue, we discussed this. People believe the bear market started before we even broke an all-time high, which is kind of, I don't necessarily agree with it, but for me, I would define October 10th as the beginning of the bear market. And if you traditionally have a year-long bear market, this one could be different. The difference is, what are you looking for in terms of bull and bear? If you're a trader, then I kind of get why you'd be looking for certain elements of it. But, for me, it's like, okay, if we consolidate and start to go back up, then, I'm all right with it. I actually think we could start to see pushes back above 100. Because, again, if you think about going into the full-on bull market, then we could be in good news. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's still a bit early, still a bit raw from yesterday. We'll see kind of where we go. But my view would be sort of here. I mean, people predict we were in bear markets back here in like September, which is kind of wild. 60k bottom is nice and neat for the legacy finance slobs. That's true. That's true. What happened, Tenton? That was the whole, Binance API liquidation event. Look at the reaction from 60k on the 1 hour chart. The same V-shaped recovery that doesn't happen often. Every time it does, it's the bottom. That's, yeah, I mean, I can't even see this on the 1 hour chart, so I'd have to go way back when. We haven't been down this low for a while, have we? If I'm honest. So, you could argue there, look, back in April 2025, we came down to 75k. The bounce back to the upside. Maybe, like I said, maybe that's the answer. And by the way, I'll be pissed if it is, just FYI, because I didn't set that trade because my belief is that I was going lower. But again, I think tomorrow's the key day for me. If we pump another, we do another 3 or 4% tomorrow, you kind of go, well, okay. Hey, 2B, what's going on, Fairground? Good to see you, buddy. Maybe that ends up being a little bit more of a positive thing. Maybe. I guess we kind of wait and see. They should add Goblin Town to the Fear and Greed meter. Yeah, I think they should. Is Solana a good place to purchase or wait a little more? If you believe the market's going to push down a little bit more, then I would believe that waiting. My view, as much as yesterday was a huge red candle and we descended into absolute Goblin Town, I don't necessarily think it's a great idea buying on a 12% pump. I just don't think it is. People might say, well, yeah, but if tomorrow does 8%, then you've missed out. That's true. But if we dumb back down again, then you just missed out on a trend that is absolutely going down. And there's an argument to say this is a dead cat bounce, as we've seen before, and then we continue downside. We recalled exactly the same here and said, okay, we hit 76. It's fine. We went back up for a day, 81, boom, straight back down, So I think tomorrow, the weekend, that's my view anyway. That's my view. I believe a lot of us will move up hard after metals markets close today. Potentially, yeah. Futures we'll take a look at. And metals actually holding up pretty well. So, yeah. Well, let's dive into a couple of key things. We'll come back and take a look at the charts after this. So, I want to get into a little bit on the theory of what happened. So, this is an interesting chart here by Yoda. He said the 4-year cycle is dead, but BTC proved them wrong. Post-halving 2020, Bitcoin did a 600% move, but this time it only did a 70% move. This is where my expectations failed. I knew the post-halving cycles are shrinking, but this is a sign of maturity. Crypto cycle isn't dead, it's upgrading. Interesting theory there that actually, this idea that the 4-year cycle is almost a meme that's been there. So, yeah, interesting that this is kind of coming out. I thought this was a super interesting chat. But let's get into the nuts and bolts of what the fuck happened yesterday. And more importantly, then, what does that look like here? So this was shared by Jamie Coots. Shout out to Jamie Coots. By the way, I have no idea who he is, but he's probably a great guy. He's a chief crypto analyst at Real Vision, which I think is Raoul Powell's thing. But anyway, says the weekly BTC is flashing a triple bearish RSI divergence. Momentum is bleeding, and that's why I keep talking about the next liquidity impulse from central banks. I've seen this move in equities, divergence flagged fragility into the LTCM 98 and the GFC in 08. I was covering Asia and spotted it made that. Yeah, and again, early in 2020, the pattern isn't a sell signal by itself. It's a warning that the trends engine is losing power. The resolution comes from the macro. Bitcoin is a liquidity asset, and if policymakers open the taps, the uptrend resumes. If they don't, the trend is at risk of rolling over. Take away respect the divergence, but watch liquidity. This is why I've been telling you guys, and by the way, that's not where I get my thesis from, but yeah, they can go below zero. They just kind of, that's true. Yeah, they can, obviously, we go to negative. It's all over, or is it just the beginning? Well, Farmer, I think neither could be true right now. I think we could see a little bit more downside risk. And yeah, so, maybe it's the start, maybe it's the end. That's the big question, isn't it? That's the big question. So yeah, in theory, it's an interesting view, but that's where it's kind of coming for us. Liquidity, ETFs, banks, the market structure bill is going to be such an important point that we need to get that one through as well, because I think that tells us what the sentiment is on Wall Street. Remember, we talked about this yesterday. Central banks are not going to get involved in the crypto market. A, why you have this insane volatility that we've had in the last 24 hours, but B, when there is no regulation to support them and their customers. That's the reality. Harlem's in the building, says it just higher high, then we're going back down. Well, you see, love the balance on bias coverage of the markets. I appreciate the feedback, by the way. Thank you so much. Do you think a 50x short is a bad idea? Too late. It's done. Don't FOMO the shorts, Craig. Crazy, man. Dead Cat Bounce here. Iran happening tonight. Winter Olympics and Super Bowl weekend. Too much geopolitical theatre on the calendar. I mean, the Iran thing definitely feels like it's getting a little bit tastier. Jesus says 39K is next. I mean, potentially. We definitely see that come down a little bit further. All right, we could definitely see that. So, with that, I thought there was way more to this. Anyway, okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. Just, again, to quantify some of the stuff we were talking about, interestingly enough, BTC crypto net ETF outflows over $500 million. So, yes, this is why we're pumping. And you go, hold on a minute, Jimmy, what do you mean we're pumping? ETFs are selling. Exactly. Who's buying, though, is the question you've got to ask yourselves. And it isn't who you think it is. And I think it was the title of the live stream. So, if you remember, we looked at this yesterday and we talked about who's selling. Short-term holders are selling. Well, guess who's buying again? Short-term holders. They're like, I need some more of this lovely Bitcoin. Give me all the Bitcoin in the world. So again, you kind of see this narrative playing out that is not good for broader markets. I have actually mega zoomed into this. But look at this uptick, by the way. We now start to see people buying back in. Short-term holders went, oh no, I sold. I shouldn't have sold. It's now pumping. Give me some more. I need to buy back in. So we're seeing this uptick. Expect this to come back up, by the way, tomorrow, which tells me a little bit that this could be, and by the way, we could totally be wrong here. We could totally be wrong, and this could just be the start to the move to the upside. I don't believe there's anything wrong with being a little bit cautious on a 12% pump on the back of a 12% dump. Do you think the Clarity Act will be sell the news into the shadow realm? I actually think it'll be the opposite. For once, I actually think the passing of the market structure bill will actually be good news. And you may get a little bit of a mad rush on it, because what you're essentially at that point saying is that the banks and crypto legislates have agreed that this is a way forward. There is a legislative umbrella that supports both elements. Like, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. So Mal says the market structure bill means nothing, as we can use VPNs to use DeFi's. Yeah, but it's not about us. It's why I think people are getting confused. The market structure bill isn't about us, because we aren't the big money. Now, I don't know what your personal situation is, and I'm not commenting on it, by the way, but we're not the big money, are we? Even if I'm the most bullish individual in the world, then I can't move the markets. But do you know what? Bank of America could. Do you know what? Santander could apportion it. We know BlackRock, even if they just apportioned 1% of their entire under management portfolio for equities, could buy every single Bitcoin on exchanges. So the market structure bill is less about retail. It's less about us. Whatever people are selling that narrative as, it's about banks, and it's about whether the banks can get in, and probably a little bit about control. You know, you guys know my theory and thoughts on banking. I said banking as well, by the way, if anyone wants to question that. But I think it's worthwhile keeping this certainly on a view. And then look, the buyers need to do a lot of work. We're still in a bearish structure here. People need to understand that. As much as we believe and hope and want this kind of move to be stronger, all of the macro right now is bad. All right, bearish sentiment, all the rest of it. I'm good, thank you. Yeah, call me Jay in the house. What's going on? Council says, sir, how are you doing? I'm great. You're Derek from Kampala in Uganda. What's going on, bro? Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Take a seat if you can. Chill out, relax. The bills are more important because banks will be involved. Exactly. That's the big one, the banks. And we all know about what the banks want. The banks want cash. Okay. So that kind of takes us through a little bit of a macro thesis of where we are right now. Potential risk here, I think, on BTC. People, the 4-hour chart currently rejecting here on the 20-day EMA. Probably a good indicator, by the way, of potentially where we could sit. Break this, yeah, we might see a little bit further upside momentum. Don't, then, then kind of come back down, which will be bad news. So let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday, and more importantly, how this all plays in, specifically with these two charts. I need to learn real trading to become professional and start making real money. This is not the place for you. I am not a professional trader. Just a guy that shorted this market yesterday and probably missed out on about a 20K trade, but hey, we got it in the end. All I would say is, by the way, join the Discord, become a premium member. On our YouTube channel, you get access to trade strategies, trade guides. It's the best value out there right now. $6 a month. a little bit more. Totally worth it. Have you seen Will It Be Financial? Yes, I have. It's not done anything. It's about 11 cents, right? Disappointing. We'll take a look at it. So the market spoke loudly last week to the next Fed chair being announced for Bitcoin. Continued to view 65K as an attractive entry point. So you've got real conflating ideas here, but what you can see on the charts is past performance of where we've seen or particular events that have come in and how that's then driven the price of BTC. And you can see there just in some of the colorings what that looks like from a who is buying, what's the macro support level, and equally what that all plays out for. So interestingly enough, we're coming back down to that critical support line that we've been talking about, but the distance between gold and Bitcoin is the key thing. When you look at this chart, giving you an idea of where gold and Bitcoin are, remember we said the two need to converge. So you need Bitcoin and you need gold to come way nearer than they already are before the market could start, in my opinion, if you go back on history, to push back to the upside. So these are two very important charts. What we do know is that people were buying crypto and they're not necessarily buying gold. If you look at the charts here, for example, gold only about 1.7%. People deciding to take a little bit more risk on, which is interesting. Now, one other chart that I think is worth noting that we've been keeping a very watchful eye on is this chart here on the monthly. And if you remember, we were touching on this yesterday. So this is the gold and Bitcoin ratio. So Bitcoin as a measure against gold. And every time that Bitcoin has touched this line, we've then seen a bounce back to the upside and strong price action. Well, we did exactly the same again. So we touched this line yesterday on the wick down. However, it was a wick and not a candle body. And people say, well, Dubit still touched the line. Like, what are you talking about? But you kind of have to discredit, in my opinion, a little bit yesterday. So I'm looking for a candle body close here at this line, which I think could even come in the next maybe week, 2 weeks. It doesn't need much more of a push down, a bit higher in gold, a bit lower in Bitcoin. Gets us this level. I think that's where I'll find my entry when I want to do that six-figure trade that we're going to take on. I just need to see that happen. Tubit, what do you think about metals now? And most exchanges, this helped suck. Hold on a minute. Sorry. Tubit, what do you think about metals now? On most exchanges, this helped suck the crypto crash into the metals FOMO, and that will end very soon. The metals will return to side. Yeah. So I've always said this, Miles. I've always been in a world where I believe that the metal market is way overhyped, and you can even see it. Like everyone was going into the metals market because that was where it was pumping. And everyone's going, okay, hold on a minute. So gold's going to the moon, silver's going to the moon. It's a risk off, or historically is seen as risk off. Well, why would I go and buy Bitcoin? I've always said though, at some point that trade becomes the undervalued trade. So I do think at a certain point, and I still stand by that thesis, by the way, that gold, silver will get to a point, and then the obvious trade, and you could probably see that today, then becomes the gold and silver market. Where I think that, the more important, hold on, let me have my words right here. The most obvious reasoning and rationale that I have behind that is you've got big crypto exchanges now being like, oh, come and trade gold and freaking silver. You're like, what? What do you mean trade gold and silver? Oh, come and trade XAU. Like, it's all about, you're like, what the fuck is this all about? Shut up. By the way, if you do want to trade all your favorite cryptocurrencies, the best platform where I'm doing all of my trading, bar none, literally 100% of my trading, Bitunix. I can tell you this, I had executed on trades yesterday, take profits, as well as stop losses, seamless, no wicks down, no wicks odd. Again, if you trade on other exchanges, it's nothing compared to what you get with Bitunix. Check out the link in the description. Also, by the way, it's in our Discord. I would highly recommend joining that Discord. Totally, utterly worth it. Let me just post this link in there. You're also going to get 50% rebate. No one else is doing that, by the way. No one else is giving you 50%. Deposit $1,000, trade once, get $500 back. Are you kidding me right now? To go and trade more futures on there as well. So absolutely worth it, as well as some trade bonuses and the newbie bootcamp. Complete a few tasks, earn up to 500 USDT in rewards. You've only got till January the 31st in that order, so definitely check it out. Highly recommend. It's a great platform. The more you trade, the more benefits you get to a VIP free, and it's insane. Like, you get loads of free stuff, and it's definitely worth it. So check the link out in the description. Check the link out in the bio. Get signed up. Totally worth it. Head over there. Start some trading. All right. Just in my opinion, by the way. Just in my opinion. Okay, good. That's because the exchanges are struggling. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, everyone's coming on this narrative now, aren't they? Going, oh, well, you know, exchanges are going to go to zero. Like, get all your crypto off exchanges. I saw somebody... And I have to be careful what I say here, because I respect everybody. Everyone that can get in front of a camera, record a video, get into kind of what they're, what they're doing, put themselves out there, shout out to them. Do you know what I mean? I've got a lot of time for people who do that. But also, it is interesting how quickly sentiment very much shifts with some people. You know, people are like, oh, get all your crypto off exchange. It's like, oh, that's the hot narrative that people talk about. I haven't. I mean, I've still got capital on exchanges, and I'll leave it there. Is it on, Uncle Bob's out Uncle Bob's outside cryptocurrency exchange? No, of course it's not, because that would be mental, and I'm not in that world. But, you know, I think sometimes people just jump on this narrative rather than being sensible about it. Just in my opinion, by the way. So yeah, so that's kind of where we sit right now. Let me just put the logarithmic scale on there to give us a bit more of an idea. The other thing to note here, by the way, we discussed this yesterday. So whenever BTC has broken the all-time high, generally speaking, we do see the bottom comes on the back of the previous all-time high. Now, the difference there is 2017 is probably not, you know, not where we got to. 2013, 2017, 2021 is here, which, you know, it's kind of aligned to where we think. It's slightly above my line, so this kind of has broke the cycle a little bit. But worth noting there. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world, but, you know. Be better if all centralized exchanges went under and only DeFi remains. I mean, maybe. I mean, that would be a pain, though, because think about it. That means that no average retail comes into the market. Are you selling or buying BTC? I'm not doing anything yet. I ain't doing anything. Sat on stablecoin waiting to happen, just trading the opportunities. That's all I'm doing at the minute. I'm getting ready to buy. Also, like we said a number of times, getting ready to open our 6-figure trade here on BTC as well that we're looking for. So I want a little bit more confirmation. I want to see what happens on this close today, and more importantly, what we look at. Again, you look at the weekly, by the way. I mean, you could argue and say, well, yeah, but look at that wick. I mean, that wick is insane, by the way, but yeah, we still want to see a little bit more momentum that is outside of today's pump. Because, you know, in theory, tomorrow you could drop another 4 or 5%. All of a sudden, today's 6% move. People will be like, oh, no, we're going down again. Like, you know, markets get consumed by the fact that everything's going to freaking zero. So, yeah, watch out. Also, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw, just really quickly, I've done a rebrand, and I think I like it. So, yeah, look at this. Hope you guys like it. We're setting ourselves up to be just a little bit more. I don't know. Some of you were like, "But you need a line here." I get it, right? I get it. I'll have a look at that. But yeah, we've got a little bit more up market, by the way. So yeah, do hit a follow over on X. By the way, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube as well and TikTok. So slightly new rebranding here, which yeah, I think kind of, you know, that's kind of where we're at. I mean, that isn't my suit, by the way, but FYI. Gold and silver are going up. It's fine. You're buying, but try and sell large amounts. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Grant Cardone talked about that, by the way. Yeah, you see Mark Noby, you know. Thanks, Mike Bennett. Yeah, I just think, you know, if I think of my old one, a bit memey, you know, it had the Marbits logo in. It's like, oh, this guy, all he talks about is memes. It's not even like, I don't even talk about memes really anymore. I haven't done any meme content for ages. So yeah, we've gone slightly different. We're all about making the macros. That's what it's about. Anyway, yeah, say we have a relief, I remember. Yeah, I mean, exactly. You always get these bounces. On massive capitulation days, you always get a bounce back to the upside. Always get a bounce back. And, you know, this could just be exactly what's playing out right now. So you can see there the big head and shoulders pattern that we've been talking about as well. That, you know, if you look at it, I think it's on a weekly, it's way more obvious. So, again, you kind of have to wait and see what happens on this. You know, that whole whoop, 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 whoop. All right. Important to think about. Yeah, I like your new PFP tidbit. Very cool. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. I just think the way I mentioned made more sense. What did you say? I can't remember what you said. You were the one that that said it. Tidbit gone for the Jake Claver look. I mean, I haven't. I mean, if I have, I didn't mean to. What did you say? I can't remember what you put. Oh yeah, should be a dash between invest and educate. Also, it'd be more logical to put educate yourself before invest and grow. So I would use either educate, invest, and grow your wealth. Educate, invest, and grow your wealth. Just my opinion. I also think it rolls off the tongue easier. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it, Curtis. I also like no more bedhead for the rebranding. As you can see, look, I took your advice. I took your advice. I'm like, right, new bear market's here. We need to prep for the bull market. I did pull the old hoodie out, the old original OG 2-bit merch, by the way. So yeah, interesting. Low leverage trade after huge dumps, exactly at 60k. Yeah, my short TP was 59,950, and it executed perfectly. The only disappointment was, like I said, I didn't take this, but I still think we come down. Maybe it's a slight bit of hopium that we come back down. I don't know, but I think we do. I think it's likely XRP heads back to 72 cents. I got my buy orders at that price. If it hits that during a flash crash, because we could be in a bull trap, but if it doesn't, then that's okay with me. I mean, that's the other thing. There's lots of potentials playing out right now, which is why I think, look, if you bought the bottom of this wick, great. If you took the trade on at 60,000, brilliant. If you bought XRP at 113, brilliant. You know, we've pumped back up. You made 10%, 12%, whatever, right? Great news. I think there's nothing wrong with just waiting 24 hours, see what happens. What is the worst that can sort of play out in this scenario? In my opinion, by the way, and that's just kind of my view to have, to be honest. So we'll see. All right, we will see how this all this plays through. 245 billion worth of USDT trading on crypto exchange on metals, which should be on a crypto. Yeah, I mean the metals thing's definitely a thing. Which eventually, I know people, but like, oh, yeah, it's not going to roll over. Like it will. It will at some point, I believe, anyway. And it always has done, and I believe it always will do. As people start to get more risk on, how do people get risk on? Well, they get more money. How do you get more money? You inject liquidity into the market. So, that's kind of where we get to, and I think we sort of need to see that. The view, by the way, look at this. Some macro signals easing near-term stress. This was all about consumer sentiment. So this did get released today, came in stronger than expected, making a 6-month high. So consumer sentiment is like, all right, yeah, people are like a little bit more bullish. Consumer sentiment increased this month to its highest level since August, a sign that the economic unhappiness that's dragged down the political prospects of a Trump administration could be turning around, which again would be good news as well. So these are the sort of smaller things. And bear in mind, we can... you can have people bullish on what's going on in the markets. You can definitely have people like, yeah, like we're all about buying, like it's great, while at the same time seeing a pretty challenging, economic outlook. Because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. There's still the nervousness of tariffs. Supreme Court have gone quiet. No one's like talking about that anymore. It's like, all right, don't bring up the tariffs. All right, don't bring up tariffs. Important. But yeah, but we still got it down. That's the point here. There's still, some of this data is still, waiting to be washed through. The potential, obviously, we got a 4-day government shutdown. Does that mean that it's a bit lower, a bit later? Do you know all that kind of stuff, isn't it? All right, all that kind of stuff. But the importance is that it's continuing to rise to the upside. So consumer sentiment there, look, 57.3%. Back up to nearly the August 2025 highs, which again is good news as well. So it gives you kind of a flavor as to exactly what that looks like. All right, good. Bullish on this. Okay, let's keep an eye on what's going on with BTC. If you haven't already, by the way, do me a quick favor, tap up the like button. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 40,000 subscribers, everybody. Holy crap. We are sending it this year. Absolutely, Max, full on sending it. By the way, I do release content as well. So if you're interested in keeping up to date with all the macroeconomics, as well as breaking down some key things, then definitely get involved. And those videos come out every single day. So watch them, hit the like button, do drop a comment on them. It does help out the algorithm. And more importantly, helps me shape the content that you guys want to see. So I took it loud and clear. People were like, screw the Memecoin content, it's rubbish. Fine, let's stick to macros. Just make sure you watch my content. That'd be great. Did Trump say when he's launching stimulus? So not really. He announced, obviously, TrumpRx.gov. I don't know if you guys saw that yesterday. That was a big announcement from him. TrumpRx.gov, which is kind of a stimulus package. So I don't know if you guys saw this. But essentially what he's done is brought prescription drugs down like insanely. Ozempic, GLP-1 or whatever it is down from like $1,200 to $200. Infertility treatment, he brought that down. Like he's like slashed the prices of loads of this stuff, which is kind of crazy. Here you go, look. So Gonal F450, I don't even know what the hell this is, by the way, but anyway, the 1449 in the USA, 355 in Canada. It's now coming down to like $200. Like it's pretty insane. I mean, the website's pretty fresh, by the way. The kind of idea of this. So this is kind of a stimulus. Oh, here we go. Look. So Wegovy, these are all weight loss things. Yeah, Ozempic is a weight loss thing. So $199 a month down from $1,000. So this is kind of stimulus, isn't it? It's a stimulative move. People have more money in their pockets. What do? Well, if you're only paying $200 a month for your Ozempic pen instead of $1,000 a month, then you might go and buy dog coins. You might go and buy Ethereum, XRP, SUI, whatever. Like maybe that's why people are buying the shit out of this dip. Maybe. I don't know. But this was kind of one of the stimuluses. The big thing will be the Fed rate cuts, and you're naive if you believe there ain't going to be any Fed rate cuts, which could argue, is that why we saw what we saw yesterday? Trump dumping, adding fuel to the crash of the market. Maybe that's the kind of next big thing. What are we at now? 80% as a potential no cut, which I think is fine, by the way. I mean, April is more aligned to potentially rate cuts. That's when Kevin Walsh probably gets his hands on it a little bit more. So, these are some things. They're the sort of stimulus that you might get from a Trump administration. Fuel's down, all that kind of stuff is down. Charts are greening up. Talk positive, mate. Yeah, that's it. You got a new crypto fan only 3 days old list. Ah, let's go. I hope he started a wallet already. Casey, honestly, don't get any of these like children. I can't remember. You're in the UK. Don't get any of these stupid child ISAs. Just open a wallet, start DCing some Bitcoin, some Ethereum, some XRP. Honestly, brilliant though, man. I live streamed once when when the twins were really, really young, and one of them wouldn't go to sleep, and they were proper kicking off. Do you guys remember that? And I had to like go and like deal with it. I literally just brought one of them back, and I was like trying to live stream. Just started screaming her head off, and I was like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna work. This is not gonna work. I need to like move on." The only time I've like, so twice I think I've cut a live stream. I was sick on the stream once, and when I brought one of the twins in with me, which is yeah. But shout out to you, man. Hope you're getting some sleep. Hope your missus as well. Fat Sonic, I see. Just sell some crypto, and the tax man will run away. I know mine would be at this point. There you go. I will probably fly out early to see what happens because no tax on OT means to me. And salt reduction because my state taxes. Wow. Let's get it. Fat Sonic. Tax returns are coming in. I just got my W-2 today. Yeah, I got my new tax code through HMRC. Man, it's painful. It's painful. They're like, oh, you get a car from your job. Well, here's 60% tax. You're like, oh, thanks. Thanks. And what are you doing with my tax money again? You're not fixing the roads near my house. Anyway, it's a different story. I tend to not report my... Well, whoa, let's not talk about the stuff that we don't need to be live on the channel. Nearly. Anyway, moving on rather swiftly. Right. I tell you what I was going to look at, by the way. World Liberty Fi. Let's bring up their wallet because obviously everyone started freaking out that they were dumping more Bitcoin yesterday. Oh my God, they're dumping Bitcoin. It's bad news. I mean, they did technically mint some more USD1, which is interesting. But yeah, everyone started to absolutely lose their mind yesterday. So we did get a little bit of selling, but look at this, all USD1, by the way. So there isn't really a lot, as much as people were like, they're selling Bitcoin. It was like, not really. They're not really. They sold, I think they did leverage a little bit, but yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful because people will tell you any old nonsense in this game, won't they? Just to try and get your crypto for cheap. Anyway, so worthwhile thinking. I mean, in terms of, stimulus from Trump, is there anything coming up? Not really. I think everything's going to be quiet. He needs to make sure he holds on to the House, by the way. I don't know if you guys have seen, there's been loads of votes recently that haven't gone particularly well in the way of the Trump administration. Like, they've had to really, go through the mill to try and get stuff passed, so we'll see. I mean, we got a little bit coming next week. Not a lot. Wednesday, non-farm payrolls and employment rate. We get core inflation, which will be on Friday the 13th. So we'll see what that comes in as. So, yeah, CPI, baby. It's that time again. We'll be back into that. So that could be a good read, by the way. Consensus is 2.5 of the forecast, which would actually be a downtrend in the inflation rate. Forecast 2.4 versus a 2.7 year on year. So yeah, we could get some pretty bullish news back end of next week. So, where would I like to be? Where would I want to see Bitcoin, probably grind down a little bit, come back down here to around 62,000, consolidate, and then Friday the 13th, which is the day CPI comes in. This is where my 6-figure trade hits. CPI comes in at 2.3. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's amazing. The economy's going to boom. And then we just start slowly catchy monkey grind our way up till we get to about April. And then we take a nice wick up to 98,000. We go, and everyone's like, oh my God. And here, this is where I hit my first million. Here's where I hit my second million. And then when I get to here somewhere, this is where I just quit YouTube forever. I'm kidding. It's not financial advice, by the way. It's just my opinion as to what might happen. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Based on what we think. But yeah, I mean, that could be an interesting one. CPI consensus actually saying that it's actually going to be pretty bullish. So we'll see. I also put my stop loss at 71.6 as it becomes a higher high. Or what's that, Curtis? Curtis says, have I missed some of these here? Tim, learning a lot. Will be the very first trigger price I've set. Oh, what's that for? Oh, you set in, all right. Do you study economics? You're on it. No, I haven't studied economics. I don't have an economics degree at all. The only thing I would say is the business I work for, so I have a full 9-to-5 job, by the way, on the back of this, does demand me to be pretty clued up on certain elements. I basically work for a company that the CEO is an ex-accountant. So yeah, a lot of what I do is in my normal job, it also demands that I do certain stuff like this. And equally, by the way, I just really enjoy it. We've learned loads on this channel. This is kind of what we do. It'd be dead easy to come and sit here on like a live stream and be like, oh, I think this is going to happen. I think it's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. But everyone's like, oh, we try and like learn and go through stuff and, you know, really talk through what we believe and what we see on the charts, which I think is super important. And like I said, that's why we build out some of those trading guides. So them trading guides have been put together by me. Again, trading the 20-day EMA. By the way, if anyone's like super crazy bullish on certain ways they trade, like feel free to put a bit of a trading guide together or anything that you think is worthwhile, send it to me. And if it's good, we'll chuck it in there for people. Again, you don't have to. I'm not saying people do, but remember, this community is slightly different. We want everyone to win. You know, that's kind of where I get to. And obviously we have the bots and stuff in there, which is going to be great. So yeah, tax returns are stimulus, trust me. Well, that's the big thing, isn't it? You know, the tax reductions are going to be good work. Stuart, thank you, mate. I appreciate it. Curtis says I'm going to take profit about 68.8, though, then put a stop loss to break even. I mean, that's another thing, by the way. Just probably something I might try and do next as my journey into trading continues is people don't move that. People aren't movable with stop losses, which I think you should be, by the way. By the way, you should always set a stop loss, in my opinion, right? In my opinion, I think you should set a stop loss. Why? It just protects you. And if you want to be really tight, that's not naive, but that's tight in terms of where you set stop losses, then I think that's not a bad shout. If you don't, then you could just lose everything you've got. So, you know, I think that's important strategy to have. But yeah, I think it's definitely worthwhile moving your stop loss, being flexible in where you've got it. So let's say, for example, if you were looking at this this trade right now, let's do it on the 4 hour because this is kind of where I feel more comfortable if it's the 20-day EMA. So I'm saying, right, so we're rejected here at the 20-day EMA. So do I think it's going to go long? No. So I'm going to trade the short. But what am I going to look for at the point of which potentially I'm going to be looking at? Well, my initial TP1 is going to be here, 68,559. Why? Because this is where I've seen significant resistance coming up and significant support going back down. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my trade up. Here, look. So I'm going to say, I want it to wick up and grab the long. So people go, you know, so 70,355. I want to be at the top end of that price range right now. So the wick candle was around 70,700. Fine. That's where I'm going to get it. But you could argue and say, well, maybe I want my stop loss to be the 50-day EMA. So again, would that be a support? Well, whenever we have broke above, what does it mean? We generally hit the 50-day. Okay, well, that's going to be a big, but what does that look like from a monetary value? And then where's my TP1? So that's where it's going to be. My stop loss, I would argue, probably would be way tighter than that, just to give you an idea of what I'd be looking at. This kind of makes a bit more sense here. So again, the reason why I'm doing this is my stop loss then becomes this upper range of the wick here. So this is my entry that I'm looking for at this line here. Why is that not doing what I want it to? So, and then this is potentially where my exit or my first stop loss. Now, let's say then that, let's say, for example, I don't know, Trump bombs Iran, right? Let's say that he goes into Iran and all of a sudden we get this big wick down to here. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to move my TP1 to the next bit. I'm going to go, hey, this looks like it's going to come down. We break this support line, or we certainly look like we're about to break it down. What I'd then be doing, though, I'd then be moving my stop loss up. So what my stop loss then becomes is the bottom end. So basically, I'm playing for free, right? Basically, I'm playing for free. I just realized you guys can't see that on TikTok. I'll put a short out, and you guys can watch it there. So this is kind of where it is. And then, you know, like the market, when it's proper tanking, you move your stop loss again, or move your TP1, move your stop loss. And this is where I think you can do it. At the same time, you know, it might not quite move as where you want it to do. So you can say, well, okay, well, I'll potentially then go back to the 50. I'm going to move this back a little bit. My stop loss then becomes that number. And you just use it as a bit more of as a tool. I think so many people either don't put a stop loss on, which is insane, or they just stick to it and they go, right, well, if it hits this number, then screw it, I'm going to lose everything. So yeah. You can do a partial stop loss and harder stop farther away from. Yeah, exactly. Which is why, though, by the way, if you are thinking of getting a trade, so again, like the guy that came in and said he's from Uganda and wants to know how to be a professional trader by watching someone on TikTok, these are unfortunately where you get wrecked and people lose loads of money. So you got to be careful. Or trailing stop loss, yeah, agreed. I don't usually leverage that much in USDT, so I tend to set a stop loss, but usually liquidate before, except for once when I took the profit. But this is my very first trigger trade. That's the thing. Look for the wicks. And the entry is the important bit with trading. That's what's changed my theory. And I don't care if I miss the trade, by the way. I don't care. I don't have any emotion attached to the trading market anymore. I used to get really pissed about everything, really annoyed. You try and catch a falling knife. How many times, by the way, how many times do you like then end up getting into a trade and you're like, oh man, I got liquidated straight away. I don't care if I miss the trade now. I'm looking for the opportunity. So right now, in my view, just my view personally, the 4 hour here on the 20-day looks pretty interesting. And if I go down here, so again, if I'm looking to trade this, what's the swing high? Well, the swing high value right now is around 70,925 on the wicks on the 1 hour. Fine, that's my entry point. So if I get a wick up to 70,955, cool, I get in on that trade. It means that my stop loss is a bit less to the upside, and my downside potential, even if I just took the swing low, actually feels a pretty good move. So again, I'm not advocating for trading. It's definitely something you need to learn 100%. Also, if you do want to trade though, go to Bitunix. I think it's a great exchange, by the way. Sign up with the link in the description. Again, you get all the benefits that if you just went over there and tried to sign up, you wouldn't get them. All right. That's not what I'm shilling trading for, by the way, because you can lose everything. I'm not even kidding. The worst I ever had is I tried to do I was meant to do a long trade. It's going back way, and I've shared this before with everybody. I was going to do a long trade. I had everything set up. I'm like, right, I think some macro CPI data was going to come out. Everything was set. It was going to be a big move. I was like super tired, really tired. Never trade when you're tired, by the way. Super tired. And I shorted instead of long in. I lost $10,000 in about, man, it was like 40 seconds or something crazy like that. And I was like, sat there looking at my phone going, where's my money gone? So be really mindful. Be really mindful. You can lose everything. Always do an isolated, not margin. Super important. Maybe I'll put like a full trading guide in the, you're brand new to trading. Maybe it's one of the things. Yeah. My mate lost 16K in night. Honestly, yeah. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, 10 grand. 10 grand's the worst I've ever lost. That's the worst I've ever lost. And I lost it in less than a minute. Less than a minute. Always do cross. Wow, Fat Sonic, you are wild, bro. Trading is good for diversifying. It's good for shorting. It's not meant for maximum. Exactly, yeah. I actually kind of at the minute, do you know where I like trading is trying to understand the markets? Because if you can try and understand what is playing out on a trade, then it sets you up for way bigger moves. So my biggest part of my portfolio is, my spot markets, but I've got a little bit of bag on the side that I'll just use to trade the markets. But whereas before I'd be like, I need a trade, got to get in this trade, like try and grab the swing low here on this 1 hour. Like, who cares now? I'm going to look for, something big. For example, any rumblings that we may get anything in Iran, well, that's going to be pretty tasty when it comes to the market. So what's my opportunity to get into that? Remember though, you can totally lose everything. So only do it if you're good with it. Yeah, good. And also, by the way, if you are interested in doing it, just start with really low margin and start with really low leverage. You don't need to do 200x leverage on $1,000. Like, you're so going to lose it. It's insane. It's insane. Anyway, welcome in everybody joining on TikTok. Shout out to everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. How do you respond to the latest American news? What is the latest American news? What is it? This has been all sorts. You'll have to give me a clue. I got an amazing entry on a huge trade, but accidentally hit the flash crash button and the market pumped. Yeah, I missed out on yesterday's trade. Literally, by $116, I missed out on that entire dump in the market yesterday. 116 bucks. It would have, I think I worked it out. It would have been about a 33K trade, that one. And I missed out on it. But hey, and that's the thing. You got to not revenge trade it. You got to be like, right, fine. It is what it is. I think I took a trade here, and this is what I sort of, went down. And I absolutely nailed it as well. Did you buy last night? No, I didn't. Well, I did buy back in on XRP. But I sold the XRP on the day, so I don't really count that as a thing. I sold at 149, bought back in at like 113 or whatever it was. It's like not a lot, a couple of $100, whatever it is. But yeah. Time Velocity was telling me the day before not to invest in Memecoins. Yeah, I mean, God, it's terrifying to think about it. But my view and always has been, and this is why you should only ever put in what you can afford to lose, as long as you understand and learn why you lost that money, then it's not money in vain. Like, if you sit there and go, man, I just shouldn't have entered that trade, I shouldn't have bought that coin, like that team were dodgy, like whatever, then it's kind of all right. Like, it's kind of all right. Never trade your house, make sure you pay your bills first, all the sensible things before you do anything. And I mean it, anything on leverage, by the way, because you can literally lose everything. So, okay. Feel like we went off on a slightly different narrative there. Man, it's 10 o'clock. Where the hell did this stream go? Man, I'm not even joking, by the way. I am absolutely loving these streams at the minute. I'm loving them. I genuinely love coming and sitting down and just chatting charts and chatting coins and doing all that stuff. Love it, by the way. Love it. Hopefully you guys do as well, by the way, which is, again, hopefully you guys are telling me. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the follow button, make sure your notification bell's turned on, all of that good stuff. Get in the Discord, all of that great new stuff, yeah? Genuinely, I am super loving these live streams. And yeah, the market's doing what the market's doing, but it's really good. We've got an amazing community. Like, you guys are literally some of the best. Do you know what else as well, by the way? And I mean this in all genuineness, right? I mean this in absolute genuineness. We've got, I think, some of the smartest people out there. Like, I think this community is unstoppable, personally. And yeah, so shout out to you guys, by the way. It means a lot that you guys turn up every night. It really does. You should stream more if you can. Yeah, look, the 2026 for me, this is why you may have noticed a slight changing in the channel. We've rebranded. We're doing way more macro content. We're keeping, you know, I talked about this last time. We've sort of pivoted the channel a little bit. I do a full-time job, so I have a full 9-to-5 job. I'm responsible for about £1.5 million worth of sales every single week. I have about 400 people that work for me. It's a pretty intensive 60, 65-hour-a-week job, and I do this as an extra. I want to transition, though. I'd love to do this more. I'd love to do it. I'd love to do a morning Discord where we talk about market opens. I'd love to do full analysis. One of the big things I'm learning and trying to really drive my brain into it is how you do real fundamental analysis on companies, balance sheets, what they're doing in terms of equity, all that stuff, right? All that stuff. So yeah, I'd love to do that. Stream twice a day, have a full Discord live stream. Like, I actually did join the Discord late last night. I sort of jumped in it and thought to myself, like, I'm here, I'm putting content out. Like, I just thought I'd like just sit in the Discord for a little bit. But yeah, I'd love to do way more than that. The point here, the point though is it has to sustain my living, and at the minute it's not, it can't sustain my living. So hence why I have to do my other job. But you know, hopefully if we can keep doing what we're doing, which is keep growing these live streams. You know, they're doing nearly 1,000 views every single live stream, loads of view duration, which is great, by the way. And you know, my content's getting some recognition. People are trading on some of our affiliate links. Like, all of that ties in, and you know, hopefully then we can go full time and do this full time, because I think that would be insane, by the way. Insane. But yeah, we'll see. Here, I never get the look of being in a short during a 10-10 or the... Yeah, I mean, imagine, Curtis. I mean, I missed it by $116 yesterday. It would have been possibly the craziest trade of my entire life. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. To be, you know, if it hadn't been for you on this community, it would have given up. Given a long time ago, and I've learned so much. I made so much trusted thread. Let's get it, Chris. Yeah, we're going to, like Gary V, we'll do 2 Bitcoin and everyone can get together. It's going to be epic. Like I say, you've got a great long entry. You can short later instead of taking profit, and you can take profit from your shorts, add to the long, etc. It takes time to, yeah, 100%. Like, there's loads of ways you could trade the market. Yeah, I would watch you 95. Aye, Shannon, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'd love it. Like, jump on in the morning, do a live stream, talk about analysis, what's the charts doing. What was kind of crazy yesterday was when I was looking at pre-markets and I was looking at the NASDAQ, and I was like, man, the NASDAQ looks awful. Like, Jesus, this looks like... I was kind of sat here. What did I have it on? I was, in fact, I think, yeah, I was at my... I was at my mum and dad's. I took the kids to see them. And I was like watching the NASDAQ, and I was thinking, man, the NASDAQ looks super crazy. Obviously, I've got this massive wick down on Tuesday. You're like, God, the NASDAQ looks awful. This AI thing is like way getting out of spending. Like, the CapEx spending is getting way out of control. Like, what is happening? And then we got that wick back up, and everyone was like, oh, it's all fine. Everything's fine. Oracle's fine. And it was like, the news was like, Oracle need $30 billion. Nvidia are pulling the plug on ChatGPT, and you're like, oh shit. And then it was like, the NASDAQ looks so weak. And I'm like, man, there's no way this market pumps. No way. And I went in at like 72,500, got the wick up onto the short trade. And I set a really tight stop loss because I thought, well, maybe US markets open. Maybe there's a demand to try and wick up the market, clear some clear some shorts, and then dump the market. So I even moved my stop loss back. So it was about 600 above my entry price. And I thought, yeah, it's probably all right. Literally, it was like trading through the day. It was fine. It's fine. Market opened. We wicked up and literally wicked up by 116, and then boom, straight down. Like, honestly, it was like 12x on like 9K margin or something. Would have been pretty wild. So yeah. Cross me, get wide stops though. You still have to set stop losses. Yeah, please set stop losses. Hey, I listen daily from Canada, formerly from Lancashire. Great content. Hey, thank you so much. Helicopter painter. Love it, by the way. What made you move to Canada, by the way? Bullish on that. Everyone trades differently. Yeah, exactly. And the risk increases. Spot, as many people I would say, you know, look, if you buy spot bags, you're probably going to be okay. Longer term, you're going to be fine. Bitcoin will always go up in value. I don't believe there's ever a narrative that it's going to get, completely pummeled into oblivion. I mean, Bitcoin right now, look at this. It's kind of rallying to the upside a little bit. Our charts now potentially, here comes the, if you were looking as an entry point, by the way, this could be the swing high there to 70,976, followed by the pushback down. Maybe this is kind of playing out in real time, everybody. It's playing out in real time. Let's put it on there. Short position. We've got the swing high, 70,900. That would be the entry point. Let's see. Then you tight stop this. I mean, you'd probably go for the 100, wouldn't you, on the 1 hour? I don't think that's the biggest move. That'd be 1%. So if you had a 9K margin that you were trading on 8x leverage, technically 90K, 1%. So yeah, so you'd probably be able, that stop loss would be fine if you had like 9K margin on that. But yeah, see if you get the swing high on it, and then your TP1 would be 50-day EMA. Well, yeah, 50-day EMA probably more likely to be the 20, but my entry point is 70,800. Nice, Craig. Bullish on that. It's a nice, that's a decent entry, actually, I think. Yeah, decent entry. Crackerjack. What's going on, buddy? I just got here. What's the reason why? Give me a clue. The reason why what? As in the title, huge crypto reversal, you won't believe why. Is that what it is? The retail bought the dip, basically. We were looking at it earlier on. I don't think I've got the chart anymore. But basically, short-term holders, all those that sold at massive losses, bought the dip. Like, bought the dip aggressively. Institutions didn't. Institutions sold. So I think, my opinion, is it's probably going to go down a little bit more. But we'll see. What's now a super cycle? WF Capital in the house. What's going on, buddy? Let's hope so, eh? Doge to $1. I hope so. Fat Sonic said, if I have agree with the game of probability, though, I'd like to take a long one. Yeah, will it be financial? That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. Down 4% on the day and is absolutely in Goblin Town at the minute. Yeah, I mean, they've got some interesting stuff being built, whether it gets anywhere. Again, though, look at this. You can see this as a, you probably get rid of that, but, exactly the same as what happened on BTC. Look at this. Big M pattern. Goblin Town. Do we have the M pattern in the hold on a minute. Let me just check something real quick. Let me check something real quick. Did we have the M pattern on there? Head and shoulders, double top, triple top, reverse. No, not really. Oh, that's disappointed. I need to put that one in. Remind me. I need to put the M patterns and the W pattern on all those, and they need to go into that guide. We definitely need to get them in, but yeah. Yeah, will it be financial could be an interesting one, especially because of what it is and who's associated with it. Could end up being pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's true, Miles. I just opened under $1, up 60% so far on 10x leverage. What's that on? I moved to 1990. Standard of life, wages and possibilities are much higher. Fair play. I don't deny. I said to my missus, I would be one of those like Chads though that I'd probably move to Dubai or Portugal's all right, but yeah, I'd probably move to if I was 20 years younger. If only I was 20 years younger. Then yeah, we'd be moving to Dubai or something like that, driving around in Lambos, all that kind of stuff. Mike Benny said, I want to move to Canada. That AI capital tower in Montreal. Nice. Fat Sonic says, we can get a new low. I think so, yeah. Good AI jobs, fair play. Fair play. We done with the low? I don't think so. In my predictions, by the way, and again, if you're just new here, maybe you just tuned in, remember, we're looking at, or certainly we're analyzing this. I believe that this is going to come down into this range again. This is where our big 6-figure new bull market trade is going to go in. So you'll see loads of people doing it. We're doing it as well here on the channel. So hopefully it's going to be about 130 grand trade. We'll see how it plays out. Come to Abu Dhabi, much better than Dubai. Is it really? Yeah, Crackerjack. I mean, for me, it's a bit more difficult. But yeah, I mean, it's tempting. It is definitely tempting. Somewhere hot. Well, the thing is, I'm not a big believer in like hot. I don't like hot places. As you can tell with my beautiful skin, I just get burnt to a crisp. So I'm not a good one. Stuart says it goes up. Maybe. I mean, BTC right now 70,626. Feels like this is the consolidation zone right now. That wouldn't be. I mean, look at that swing high here on the 15 minutes. In the 30 minute. That wouldn't be the craziest, like, just consolidate. Now, you could argue and say, well, 2-bit, you've got a very interesting short-term candle playing out. We all know what this pattern looks like. So I guess my view, it'd just be my view, by the way, if this comes back to the downside, retest 70,000, then I think we break down to the downside. That means Craig shorts print. If this breaks above this line and wicks up over 71,000, then yeah, you could see that, which is where your stop loss comes in. And you say, right, okay, fine. Then, reset. What does that look like? If you're not trading with the biggest numbers, then it's fine. But yeah, these are why it's always worthwhile starting bigger time frame, working your way down. Dow's historic rise above 50k wraps. Rough week for stocks. Dow Jones. Ideally north in the summer, south in the winter. That's it. If BTC pumps above 71k, I'm short in virtuals. Wow. Beautiful. Justin, President Trump officially signs order. Oh, hold on a minute. We got some breaking news. Breaking news, everybody. What is this? Just flashed up on my phone. President Trump signs order allowing US to impose additional 25% tariffs on any country doing business with Iran. Oh, short the market. Craig, get ready, baby. See, this is the thing. You see, this is why you got to take them set up. See what I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, by the way. But just my view. It's almost like Trump's deliberately trying to make the market go down. He's like, well, I can't actually do that. But yeah, may I know why the market pumped a bit? Because you got an enormous dump yesterday. That's why. You had a huge capitulation, $2.5 billion wiped out of the global crypto market. That's why it's pumping back up today. There's no fundamental shift. There's no changing narrative. Watch the wick though here. Watch the wick up as the news comes in and people go, oh, everyone's going to short this market. Let's grab those long traders. Let's wick them out. In fact, let's go to here and let's watch the futures market. Just see what it does here. Futures on BTC. So let's see if we get any big trades coming in. Let's see what this does. This could be pretty tasty. This could end up being pretty interesting. Well, my stop loss is 72k, but the liquidation map there is nothing between 67 and 60. There you go. Did you see that post earlier where they were telling people to get out of Iran? Yeah, I did. Yeah. There you go. Look. There you go. Nice little push down. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying a nice little push down, but I want the thesis that we've been looking at to be right. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. So yeah, look, there we go. There you go. If we put that a bit more sensibly. Do you guys want to see this TikTok? I got far. Oh, okay. Ban that person. Ban them. I mean, this probably comes back here, actually. Look at that. No, probably not, actually. Let's go there. Where we are. 70,300. Those shorts. But my trigger point hasn't been here. I'm out of this. No, Craig. If you miss it, don't stress it. It's fine. I thought you were already in the trade, so don't chase it. Don't chase it, Craig. You don't need to, right? It's not going to change the world. Just chill out. We'll see. It might be a fake out. People might rally the thing. You've got to see. You got to understand. It's a game. It's a psychological battle with those people that think they want your cryptocurrency and they want it cheap. Yeah. Again, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's coming back up again. You see, this might be the fake out. This hasn't finished this move yet. So, look, in, down, this is there. For me, it's that breakout or that downtrend to the lower resistance line. No, I said my trigger point is 70,800. All right, it wicked up above 70,800. Oh, you're on futures, I guess. Okay, yeah, you're on futures. Ashley says, make a good 60% sold and going to sleep like a baby. There you go, you see. Beautiful. Beautiful. Shout out to you, Aishana. Nice. Love that. Short 70,800. No. That's, someone on YouTube is. I'm not telling people to short at that price. Oh my God. Everyone's going to be like, Toby, you told me to short the market. Now I'm wrecked. That's not what I'm saying. We're having some discussions in, I'm streaming on YouTube as well, by the way. But what you should do, though, is get into the Discord. That's where it's at, by the way. Grab a channel membership. Subscribe here on TikTok. That gets you full access. We've got trading bots. In fact, why don't we just see what one of the trading bots say? Let's get some TA real quickly. Oh, some of you guys are already doing it. Shout out to you guys, by the way. Oh, look at this. Mark Noby's crushing it in the markets. Get it, Mark. Love that. So let's get a bit of TA here on BTC. Let's see what it's giving us. Let's get some tea on BTC. Let's see. This is, by the way, for our premium Discord members. You can grab that by just simply grabbing a channel membership. So what have we got? You've got Bollinger Bands in a normal range. You've got the SMA 50s, a price above the simple moving average. Bullish crossover mode, tick. ADX signal, strong bullish trend. Parabolic SAR is bullish, and the DD sequential is 1 up. So RSI divergence is none. So what does the TA tell us? Actually, uptrending BTC right now. All right. Isn't that a bullish flag? Yeah, we said that. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And then, you know, again, you could see it here. By the way, our full trading guides will talk you through what could happen in there. All right. And they, you know, they're not exhaustive. They're not completely 100% accurate. And sometimes they're going to get it wrong, but you know, it gives you a view. So again, you can come in here and say, right, what am I looking for? What am I looking for here, baby? So what have we got? Descend wedge. We've got the ascending flag, potentially coming down, descending flag, the descending wedge, bullish continuation pattern. You know, we got it all, baby. We got it all. Also, we have a number of other ones in there as well. So you've got all our trade signals. I mean, but it's like $6 a month. It's absolutely wild. Here is the 20-day EMA. If you were looking to trade this, again, this walks you through some really key things. What's going on, Vern? Walks you through some really key parts of how you trade the 20-day EMA as well. I mean, these are just unbelievable. And you get all this free, by the way. We don't. You pay $6 a month, but yeah, the new one that we're doing is on certain indicators. So this is a full trading guide here. Look, trading futures. This talks you through a couple of key things to understand. Blah, 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 blah. Worthwhile looking at, in my opinion. All right. All for free. All for free. Right. 70,464. So yeah, interesting look here on the 15-minute. Let's go to the 30-minute. Still absolutely playing out in that potential bull flag. So yeah, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting right now. Probably feels like it wants to go higher. I don't think people give a shit about. I don't think anyone cares until actually there is like military action on Iran. I don't think anyone cares until that point. Anyway, see what happens. See what happens, everybody. That's just my theory. Whether it turns out to be real. At this point, Iran is mute except for the possibility of blocking the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, I mean, look, they haven't got. I think it'd be a little bit pointless, really. It's like, is the bottom in Mikey? I love the fact you call me Mikey. Love that. Jose. Or Jossie, no. What is that, Vern? Why is there a penguin on my head? On my freshly chopped hair, by the way. Shout out to Vern. What's going on, buddy? Welcome in. Don't forget, you can catch Vern and I every Wednesday live on TikTok. We had a great show the other night. Honestly, it was super, super bullish show. You should definitely set your alarm clocks for that. 5:30. Also, if you are on TikTok, go over, look for Crypto Vern. Drop him a follow, right? Drop him a follow. Definitely worth it. We're going to be grinding hard on that platform as well, by the way. So get bullish. Shout out to everybody. All right, where are we at then? Let's take a quick last look. BTC. Look, we could get a breakout here right now. Again, watch the longs. People trading this a little bit more aggressively than I think they should. I mean, look at that as a neutral level right now on BTC over the next 7 days. Longs are coming back in hard. People, I think, may be heading for pain. We'll see. We'll see. Look at this. $1.19 million short, baby, at 70,450. Interesting. Interesting. Good evening, 2-bit. Beat a match. What's going on, buddy? Yeah, Stuart. I mean, that's the thing. Trump's in this world now where he's going to you wouldn't want to question it, would you? Possibly the shortest bear market in history on BTC? I don't think so. I think we're coming back down there. Just my opinion. Do I think it's today? No. Do I think it's tomorrow? Probably not. The weekend will be interesting, by the way. The weekend will be interesting. See how that plays out, but yeah, we'll see. At this point, I said that, didn't I? I set some Bitcoin charts and TA in the Discord earlier as well. There you go, you see. I think it's worth it. It's $6 a month, by the way. And FYI, it does help out me as well. It's kind of part of what I'm trying to do in terms of, I've got to find other ways that can support the channel that isn't just views. But again, it's never expected. We never facilitate it. So that's why it's totally free if you want to get involved in there. So check it out. Worthwhile. Worthwhile. All right. Yeah, I see your trade now you've got on. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. And you got stops on there as well, Craig, yeah? Good man. That's the way to do it. Craig, that's a 50x leverage trade. Is that... Oh. Sorry. Your amount USD is... That's not your total amount, right? That's what it's margined up to, yeah? That's what it's margined up to, I think. Right, cool. Yeah, you haven't put 1,000 in on 50x. That would be insane. That's like a 50k trade. Ha! Craig's all in. He's going for the moon. Bitunix shows XRP is 26% up. Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, XRP is 20.63 at 146. I mean, XRP is wild right now. That is a wild push back up. But I mean, XRP does that, doesn't it? It's a you know, it's just one of those crazy coins. Like, it literally thinks, I think sometimes it has like a complexity disorder and just thinks it's like a meme coin. Do you know what I mean? Craig, look, again, it's all about experience, isn't it? Like I said, risk versus reward. It's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Well, there's no liquidation points on the heat map for the next 3 days. Above 71k, there you go. A lot will change with price action. A lot will change with price action, so... yeah, all good. Right, everybody, we've been in live an hour and a half. See, I could do this for like 2 hours. I would love to do this. 2 hours live stream. Imagine this was like first thing in the morning before the US markets opened. Again, we can even do European markets. And we're open and we're like, right, guys, that's it. Trade set up for the day. Let's see what happens. We'll be back tonight as always, 9 p.m. Eastern, bringing you the latest news for the day. Everyone's like, right, bullish. I'll be in the Discord later doing the course member live stream. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Go put my suit on. Hey, everybody, it's Tubi. We're here. We're talking crypto. Anyway. All good news. All good news. Don't forget, Saturdays, I do take Saturdays off. Now, again, I would probably have to rethink that if we were full-time here on YouTube and talking cryptocurrency. But historically, I do take Saturdays off. Content will come out as normal. But like I said, I don't stream on a Saturday night. So I will not be here tomorrow night, but let's just do XCN real quick. I think this was moving pretty aggressively when I looked earlier. I did look at it because you asked me about it yesterday. Where is it? I thought I had this on my charts. Oh, there. Yeah, 20%. Nice move there off the bottom support. Broke a couple of key ones. The only problem you've got is it's wicked all the way back down. If it doesn't hold this, by the way, I'd expect it to drop to around 205, maybe even lower. Could come down to 20531. So be mindful of that. I don't think it comes all the way down, but... yeah, I mean, this was like probably 30% at some point. It's wild. Wow, Stoic says you're going to get wrecked. We're going higher. Do you think? I mean, I'm not in any trades right now. I don't have any trades open whatsoever. I told you that. Like, I'm looking for that wick down trade. I'm looking to grab a trade down here. So, look, if we go higher, great. My spot bags will hold up nicely. Like, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. So, yeah, I'm looking for an entry back here. If we come back down, great. If we don't, then I'll seize my opportunity when I can. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not in a short trade or anything at the minute. I'm not in anything. I'm just chilling. Not a bad place to be. Right, everybody. That does bring us to the end of the live stream, as always. Hopefully you found that useful. You got some value out of it. As always, I won't be here tomorrow night, but do share us out. Tell a friend if they're interested in cryptocurrency. It's where it's about. Again, I want to really push this year, and I feel like, look, wherever we end up and however this plays out, it is what it is. What you need to know is we're here as a community. We're making things happen, and so hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button and, yeah, get ready. Let's see what the market does. XRP looking to break 21% right now. Freaking insane. What a day. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Catch you guys all tomorrow. Take care. Have a great Saturday. I'll see you back here, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK time, Sunday evening, before we talk about the end and the start of a new week in crypto. All right. See you soon.